This video will show you how to replace your front brake flex hose on this Subaru Outback. This will be located behind your front wheel. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. To remove the left front wheel, we're going to safely raise and support so the wheel's off the ground. After that, we'll remove all 5 of your 19mm lug nuts. If you have a locking lug nut, you're going to want to make sure you have that key. Since mine does have the locking lug nuts, I'm going to be using that first. We'll just turn this until it feels like it wants to seat. Once it does, go ahead and turn that counterclockwise to remove it. Now that we have the wheel off, we can see our front brake flex hose. We're going to start down at the caliper here. This is where we're going to find our bleeder screw. We're going to remove the cover and open the bleeder screw. Make sure you have hand and eye protection and a collection receptacle. Once we have that bleeder screw open, we're going to make our way inside of the passenger compartment and press the brake pedal all the way down to the floor and hold it there with something such as a pry bar or a small rod of any sort. We'll remove our bleeder screw cover. Just a quick inspection of that. It is a good idea to reuse those. We have our 10mm wrench. Open the bleeder screw. Make sure you see a steady trickle of fluid, confirming that you do have fluid flow making its way down to this area. Now we can make our way into the passenger compartment. Inside the passenger compartment, we have our bar directly against that brake pedal, up against the seat as well. And now we'll go ahead and press that brake pedal as far down the floor as possible. Now we're just going to close that bleeder screw temporarily. A quick note about this is the entire time that you have the brake pedal pressed down to the floor, your brake lights will be on. So of course we want to try to do this as fast as possible, but we also want to make sure everything's properly secured in place. If you needed to, you could disconnect your negative battery terminal or remove a fuse or relay if necessary. Now let's continue on with our removal process. Just below the bleeder screw, along the back side of the caliper, we're going to find the banjo bolt that holds our flex hose to the caliper. As you start removing this, fluid will make its way out, so we still have our collection receptacle under this area. We're using a 12mm for that banjo bolt. A thorough inspection of the banjo bolt to confirm it's still in good usable order. If it looks like it's rotted, weak, or damaged in any way, you need to replace it. Go ahead and remove that flex hose from the caliper. The next thing we want to do is have a look at the caliper itself. Confirm that you do not have a pre-existing gasket stuck on this caliper. If it is, use a small pick or screwdriver to remove it. There's that one right there. The other one is still on my flex hose. Let's continue on. Up here, we're using our 12mm as well. That bolt was stuck in place, that's okay. A quick inspection. Follow that flex hose up to the next mounting point. Now before we can disconnect the flex hose from its mounting bracket, we're going to disconnect the line from the flex hose. Down in this area here, there's a 10mm headed fitting that we're going to have to loosen. Dislodge the brake line from the flex hose and then we can get the flex hose out of here. Now to break this free, I'm going to be using a flare wrench. Once we do have it broken free, we can move to an open end wrench. Okay, get some movement there. Once you do break this free, typically fluid will make its way out of the other end of the flex hose, so just keep that in mind. We have our collection receptacle available to collect any of this fluid. A thorough inspection of the brake line and the brake line fitting, confirming nothing's rotted, weak, or damaged in any way. That looks fine, so we're just going to push that aside. To dislodge the flex hose from the bracket, it has a locking clip. We'll use some pliers, pull that out of place, and remove the flex hose. There we are. A thorough inspection of that clip to confirm it is reusable. Go ahead and take hold of that flex hose and remove it from the vehicle. There it is, friend. Now we're going to clean the mating surface. When I clean this, I try to make sure nothing's going to fall inside of my brake line. We're also going to clean up that brake line itself. As I mentioned, we want to confirm nothing's rotted, weak, or damaged. This looks good. We've already looked at the back side of the caliper, so there's nothing to clean there. Let's continue on with our installation. Now we can install our flex hose. We're going to start with the center area, along where the bracket is, which is attached to our front strut. As we bring this into place, we want to make sure we have it in the proper orientation, so the side that goes up to our brake line will be aligned. Start in that mounting bolt. When you have it in the proper placement, go ahead and tighten that bolt. Now let's focus on the inboard side. We'll get this aligned. We're not going to put in our clip yet. We want to make sure the brake line does start in first. Once we have it started in, we can snug that up. Now as I fully tighten this, I'm trying to pull down on the line because I want to hold the flex hose in the proper position. You can also hold the flex hose with some pliers if necessary. Now it's time for our metal clip. When you install this, you want to make sure you have it in the proper orientation so the flat ears are facing up towards the bracket here. There's a small groove on the flex hose that it slides into. Listen for an audible click and give your flex hose a tug, confirming it's properly secured in place. Now as we make our way down towards the caliper to mount this, we have our cleaned banjo bolt. I'm installing one of my brand new gaskets directly on that banjo bolt. We're going to slide that through the flex hose. Once you have that through the flex hose, on the opposite side of the flex hose, we have our second brand new gasket. Never reuse any of your pre-existing gaskets. Just go ahead and dispose of those. Now we're going to get the banjo bolt in place along the back side of the caliper. Go ahead and start that in by hand so you're sure you're not cross-threading it into the wrong position. Now once we have that started in, we're going to snug it up, and then I'm going to torque it to 20 foot-pounds. Let's remove the bar from our brake pedal, and we're going to pump up our brake pedal till it starts feeling firm. Now let's do a gravity bleed. Back at our front caliper, we're at that bleeder screw. We have our collection receptacle under here. We're going to open this up. Now that we do have it open, we're going to wait until we see a steady trickle of fluid making its way out of the bleeder screw. You want to only see fluid and no air bubbles throughout this process. Now as you can tell, we have a steady trickle of fluid making its way out, and at this point, I don't see any air bubbles. We'll go ahead and close this bleeder screw. Once you feel as though you've removed any air from inside of the brake system, the next thing I always like to do is clean any mess in this area, and then I'm going to go in the passenger compartment and pump up the brake pedal. We want to confirm that the brake pedal feels firm and it doesn't sink down towards the floor in any way. If it does, there's more than likely air still trapped in the system. And if that's the case, you need to continue on with a manual brake bleed. Otherwise, if it does feel good, just go ahead and make sure that everything's clean and reinstall your bleeder screw cover. Once you have that in place, you're going to continue on with all 5 of your 19mm lug nuts. If you do have a locking lug nut, you want to use that as well. We'll start them on, snug them up. Get the wheel back on the ground, and the torque for each of these will be 90 foot-pounds. Now we have the wheel back on the ground, so we're going to torque these to that 90 foot-pounds in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Of course, remove your key. Before we do anything under the hood, let's make sure that each and every one of our brake bleeder screws opens as it should. Safely raise and support your vehicle and remove the wheels. Once you've confirmed that all the bleeder screws do open as they should, we're back under the hood at the master cylinder. Open your master cylinder cap. We're going to give that a close inspection, confirming it's in good usable order and the seal's not damaged in any way. If you are looking inside of the master cylinder, you're going to find that you have a small screen. You can either reach inside by hand, of course if you have gloves on, or you can use a small pick. Once you have that removed, we're going to remove as much fluid from inside of the master cylinder reservoir as possible. For that, we can use a fluid extractor. Now I have this hooked up, I'm going to take my hose and bring it down inside the reservoir here. Let's start removing all of that fluid. At this point, we're going to top off the master cylinder reservoir up to the full line, right along this area. I have my clean .3 brake fluid. A quick note about brake fluid, you do not want to get it on any painted surface. It's corrosive and it will cause damage. If you do get some on a painted surface, go ahead and wash it down with some water. Now that I have that topped off, I'm just going to reinsert my screen here, temporarily reinstall my cap, and we're ready for a brake bleed. The brake bleed sequence for this vehicle starts at the passenger side rear. You'll repeat the process at the driver's side rear, onto the passenger side front, and then ending at the driver's side front. Now we're ready to start bleeding the brakes. We're on the passenger side rear caliper. Looking at the caliper, you need to look for the bleeder screw. If you have any type of cover, just go ahead and remove that. Now once we have the cover off of here, we're going to start bleeding the brakes. There's a specific sequence for bleeding the brakes on this vehicle. We're going to start at the passenger side rear. Once we have this brake fully bled, we'll go ahead and clean up our mess. Go over to the driver's side rear next. The process will be the exact same thing over there. Once we've completed both rear brakes, we're making our way up to the master cylinder to top off that fluid one more time here. To bleed the brakes on this, it's going to be easiest if you have a second person inside of the passenger compartment. The person in the passenger compartment is going to pump up the brake pedal approximately 3 to 5 times and hold it. While they're holding it, I'm going to open up the bleeder screw and we're going to be paying attention to the fluid making its way out of the brake system. We want to go ahead and close this off once we stop seeing fluid come out, and we're going to have them pump up that brake pedal again. We'll repeat this process several times until we see only clean brake fluid making its way out and definitely no air. Now let's go ahead and pump up that brake pedal, please. While they're holding it, I'm using my 10mm wrench for my bleeder screw. We have our collection receptacle under this area so we can collect and recycle all fluid as necessary. Go ahead and pump, please. Go ahead and pump. You can release, thank you. On your vehicle, you can repeat this process as many times as necessary. Once you've confirmed everything looks good here, go ahead and clean any mess, reinstall your bleeder screw cover, and we're going over to the driver's side rear, and I'm going to repeat this exact same process. Once I have that complete, we're at that master cylinder to top it off. At the master cylinder, go ahead and remove that cap again, and we'll top it off up to the maximum line. Reinstall your cover. On to the next set of brakes. We finished topping off that master cylinder, and now we're at the passenger side front. Same process here. We've got our 10mm, our collection receptacle. Go ahead and pump up that brake pedal, please. Go ahead and pump. Go ahead and pump. Perfect. You can release, thank you. Now, as you can see, we had only clean brake fluid making its way out of this braking system on this side of the vehicle. We're going to clean up our mess, and now I'm going over to the driver's side. I'm just going to repeat this exact same process, and we need to make our way up at that master cylinder to top it off one last time. At the master cylinder, go ahead and remove your cap. We're going to top off that brake fluid up to the maximum line. Reinstall your cover, confirm it's properly secured. You do not want any dirt or moisture making its way inside your braking system. Okay friend, we showed you how to bleed the brakes and we've topped off the master cylinder. When you go to reinstall the wheels, make sure you torque those to 89 foot-pounds. Aside from that, go ahead and close the hood, take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.